I'm not even going to tell you what song I'm going to sing at you. I'm just going
Give me
to
a
sing
note.
it. The first note is like, ah. So I'm just going to blast in with the song. You're not going to know what it is, but then you are going to know what it is, and I expect you to harmonise perfectly first time.
Okay.
2, 3. That note was completely false, by the way. I just made that note up off the top of my head. The pressure's on. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got a picture of you in my mind. Never knew it could be so wrong. That was fucking terrible. So, welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventure, where we talk about rock and metal. I am not Phil.
I am similarly not Dave. But it seems a bit of a weird thing to start off a rock and metal podcast with Boyzone.
Yeah, it was stuck in my mind, man. I'm the easiest person in the world to earworm. Like Annabelle, my middle daughter Annabelle. God, how long ago was this? This is my youngest stepdaughter, Rick, who we've talked about before. It's his daughter. I can't even remember what it was now. This is how bad I am to earworm, right? She earwormed me the other day. I was off work for most of last week.
As long as it wasn't Baby Shark, you were onto a winner, right?
No, God's honest truth, right? Fuck knows how I did it. I still don't know how that song goes, and I never want to. I managed to avoid it completely when it was this craze.
I can tell you if you want.
Don't do it. Don't do it, because motherfucker, I will fucking come to your house now. Bearing in mind, right, we're recording this. It's 10:30 at night on a Tuesday, and we're both at work in the morning. And I will leave my house. I will drive to your house now, breaking all restrictions, and I will break social distancing by headbutting you in the face while you're in your garage, while you think I'm still sitting here listening to you sing that song.
After I got you a present.
Yeah, but this is the thing, man. The present you got me is full of coffee right now in my hand. So Phil got me a mug. It just turned up today. And this describes exactly what I'm now faced with doing to you. When you try your hardest not to be a but everyone you deal with is a so you end up being a bigger just to out the Now, that's exactly what I'm doing now by coming to your house and headbutting you in your garage.
Oh, that's getting cut.
The irony. Is it? Fuck. I think Wayne's given up.
Has he given up cutting the?
And well, there's too many. If he
did, given up trimming the
minutes. Oh man.
Oh fuck! I can't believe you've done this.
I was in hysterics earlier, laughing at myself. I was in tears because I tried to explain to Ethan that if someone has got a big dick, this is my 9-year-old son.
Fuck me, what?
I tried to explain to Ethan that you can make jokes about anything. Like, it's okay to joke about anything as long as you're not, like, directly offending a person. If you're not doing it to offend someone on purpose, you can joke about anything. It's just a joke. So if they're going to take it as a joke, nothing's out of bounds. And I tried to explain to him, because I can't remember why it came up, but I tried to explain to him, even if it's a good thing about someone, you can find a way to take the piss out of it. And I tried to explain it. If someone's got a big dick, you could joke about it and say it's so big, it's got an elbow. But I couldn't finish the sentence because I had tears rolling down my face, trying to explain to my 9-year-old boy why a dick might have an elbow and how that's a joke.
What is wrong with you?
He loved it. My family is all kinds of fucked up. I treat all my kids like they're adults. I do, all of them. I just talk to them like I talk to you. But they know the rules. It's like, Dad drinks, Dad can drive a car, Dad, they see me with a cigarette. You know what I mean? Dad does these things. I'm a kid. I'm not allowed to do them. Swearing's just another one of them. And to be fair, you know, Chloe's 17 now. She just turned 17 last week. She swears like any 17-year-old would. It's not over the top. It's nothing particularly offensive. Annabelle's 11 and doesn't swear at all, like ever. Last time we recorded, we were this deep into the podcast when my dog was fucking my leg. Although, to anyone listening, that'll be weeks ago because Wayne decided, I'm going to block him. I'm going to block him on social media for like a week if he does it again. I'm just going to refuse to talk to him in punishment because So we recorded. This is our 4th episode under the new format since we had the big old break. This is our 4th episode. The 3rd episode we recorded, he released that first. So you got number 3 first, and then tried to blame you. I don't know what was happening, man.
I don't know. Crazy. Hey, do you know what though? Crossover. I was watching AEW wrestling last night.
It's not my thing, but Wayne, since you mention it, that is an excellent segue. Tell me your wrestling story, and then I'll do the excellent segue.
Well, it wasn't much of a story. I just happened to be watching TV, and I flicked, and then I found that on ITV, I think it was. It's
yeah, they've got it's on ITV4 or something. They got a contract.
I think this was just on ITV1 even, but it was right. Okay, so it was kind of weird actually thinking about it. Right, so a first weird thing. Back in the day when I used to watch I think it was still WWF at the time. There was this.
We're talking 90s wrestling there.
Yeah, there was a wrestler called Goldust.
No, I don't know.
He was a bit of a mincer.
I was never a big wrestling guy. I know the big boys, but
well, this guy, he had a gold suit on with black on the front, total gold face print, and used to purse his lips a lot. Looked like he was trying to flounce it.
I don't mean fuck all to me.
Well, this guy, who was wrestling last night, he used to be this Goldust guy. He's the same guy, but he's just a new character. I forget what his name was. It was, I think it's Dustin Rhodes, I think his name is now. But anyway, so he was wrestling this other dude in a normal wrestling ring. Each of them had had a girl with them outside the ring. The girls started kicking the crap out of each other outside the ring. Nothing particularly, groundbreaking there. It happens in every wrestling. Yeah. And they were attacking. I think they were attacking the guys inside the ring at one point as well. So it was, standard. But then all around the outside, because it's social distancing coronavirus times, there was about 10 people in the crowd.
Dude, did you see WrestleMania?
No.
I heard it mentioned on another podcast, right? And they were basically saying it was I don't know if you're familiar with the Guitar Souls podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm aware of it. I've never listened to it. You've mentioned it before.
Yeah, those dudes are wrestling fans. It comes up in conversation now and then with them. And they mentioned the saddest thing they've ever seen is wrestling, which is obviously, I'm not going to get into a fucking debate about it being fake or it's scripted, it's choreographed. I know it's going to win, but you're not just any old fucker can do it. The training and all.
Oh yeah, it's athletic.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. But they feed off the crowd because of the storylines and the fake element of it, the written element. WrestleMania this year went out on TV with no crowd. And it was it is honestly, when they said it, I just could not fucking wrap my head around that concept. It wouldn't work. So I had a quick look on YouTube and I managed to get about 7 seconds in before I had to turn it off. It's it's pathetic to watch. It's just two middle-aged dudes grunting at each other for seemingly no fucking reason at all. Without a crowd, it is the saddest thing you will ever see. I mean, it ain't my thing anyway. I'm not into it at all. But I can understand why other people would be. But dude, without a crowd, like you said on that, what's it called? The new promotion thing that's
AEW.
Yeah. So in that, they had 10 people in WrestleMania. It's the biggest, from what I understand, it's the biggest wrestling event on the calendar. There was not one fucking person in the crowd. No one, not a soul. It was sad to watch, but it was really weird. It was like stepping into a parallel universe. It was odd. The measures. Have you seen the shit about gigs and stuff?
Mm-mm.
They're talking about no gigs until the summer of 2021.
What, in this country?
Well, it was an American guy that suggested it, but he never said it's happening. This was last month. I mean, bearing in mind we're recording today on, what's the day? Is it 28th?
Yeah,
28th of April or thereabouts. I don't know what day it is, but we're recording towards the end of April, and I saw this probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. But it was a news. I didn't read it. I only read the headline. And it was a dude in America, part of the government, who said that that's what he would recommend. Basically, he recommends no gatherings of crowds above whatever number of people. Bollocks. Until
unless you inject
the summer of 2020.
disinfectant first.
Yeah, then you'd be okay.
Yeah.
What a fucking weird shit thing to say. Our fucking national. He's the leader of the free world. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was all taken out of context.
That's it. It was taken out of context what he was saying, but he's retarded.
That's just not. I mean, how many of his advisors do you think standing behind there just like swallowed their own head?
Slapping the forehead.
Through like they bit their lips that hard, they swallowed their own jaw just listening to it. And he's the leader of the free world, and he suggested in, like I say, completely out of context, but just to use the word, surely there's something we can inject into the blood that would clean it, like much like disinfectant would. What are you doing? What are you doing? Fuck me. It's like he's just this babbling, fucking retarded kid that grew up with all this money, said shit that people want to hear, that he can't pull off. Like, he doesn't even have the power to pull off half of that shit that he got voted in on. Fucking, we'll build a wall and we'll make them pay for it. What the fuck? How many bricks have been laid so far?
My dad says he's getting Mexicans to build a wall outside his house.
For very different reasons, I imagine.
Just to keep his garden in.
Has his garden got a habit of fucking off, like?
Well, no, it's just a garden, and mud has a tendency to move, so he's putting a wall there so that it doesn't do that.
Why Mexicans? Is there a high Mexican constituent in? Is there a large Mexican element in Thornton Dale in North Yorkshire?
I don't think so. I think he's
actively going to go looking for Mexicans.
He may well have been joking. But in my experience,
I don't want to believe that.
No, he's a stone cold stalwart of the community. Why would he lie to me?
I agree. He's your own father. My dad never lied to me, and I've never.
My dad never lied to me.
I've never lied to my son, which is again takes us back to why I talk to him like he's a grown up. He's upstairs now.
I feel like we have both lied to each other, me and my dad, at some point or other.
I've definitely lied to my dad. I've lied to my son. I know my dad's lied to me.
Yeah.
It's just something that happens, isn't it? Especially like when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Jesus, some of the bullshit I tell my son. I told my son's friend that I kill people for the CIA, that I used to kill people for the CIA.
Hey,
because
I just finished watching that Extraction.
That's good, isn't it? I watched that the other day. It was good.
Yeah, it's real good.
I like it. It's very visceral, the violence, and it's well choreographed. There's an excellent single shot sequence that starts in a car chase and then goes into a copper walking around a building and then finishes with the main Chris Hemsworth's character fighting his way back out of that building then. But it's a single shot that's cut into, I think it's like 11 and odd minutes, and it's cut over 3 distinct. It's almost, you know how a film is in 3 acts? That single shot is almost in 3 acts. It's divided very very well.
What's your favorite kill that you remember from the film, if any? That
dude. I think it's in the original Extraction. So for anyone who doesn't know, like no spoilers. If you want to check out a proper film podcast, Facebook, just search on there The Screen Masters, and you'll find Bav and Fluff's Screen Masters podcast on the Bite Back Network. If you're into wrestling, like we were talking about earlier, get yourself on Spotify and search for The Second Turnbuckle. That's Wayne's wrestling podcast. You should check both of those out. I'll do all the other contact bullshit later, all the YouTube and whatnot. But yeah, so if you want, if you haven't seen Extraction on Netflix, you don't feel like you got to turn it off. No spoilers or nothing. But the general storyline, as the name would suggest, is that this super tough, like ex-Black Ops dude, I guess he's a merc.
He's a merc now, isn't he? Yeah.
He's hired, him and his team are hired to extract a young boy that's been kidnapped. I mean, all that tells you in India, all that tells you is what's in the blurb to the film. During the extraction, obviously, it gets violent. And he kills one dude by picking him up and slamming him down onto his head, like jaw first, so it breaks his neck up against his back. And it's so clearly a dummy when he does it. But there's no, at least it was practical, you know what I mean? Because it would have been easy to CGI something like that.
Yeah, man.
Like shit. So they've used like a lifelike dummy and just fucking snapped the dummy's neck.
Just smashed it. Do you know, actually, I've got, so I'll give you.
Dude, have you done something different? You've dropped out.
I've done nothing. I've done nothing. I've not touched anything. Right, so.
Oh, you're back.
I've got 3 favorites. One, I'm not going to explain the situation particularly, but there's one where somebody gets thrown off a building, being watched by other people.
Yeah.
That you'll remember. That one was awesome because I was just like, "What the shit?" Then the next one was one guy.
Sorry, man, carry on.
So one guy, he swings one guy round, and his legs make contact with the other guy's head and break his neck.
Yeah, man, he clobbers one. He uses one guy as a weapon
to snap another dude's neck. Yeah,
I like the scene again. No details, but there's a scene where he slaps a bunch of kids around.
Yeah.
that was good.
Piss off,
little shits.
And then
no context. I'm not going to describe any reason why he might do that, but he slaps a bunch of kids about.
Number one kill for me was he's inside that building and he kicks that table.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah,
just beans that guy's head against the wall. That's awesome.
Yeah, what I liked about it is that he's like when he was playing Thor, he's huge. And in this, he's obviously like, for Thor, he has to be massive. So he'll train in a certain way, but that's not his natural body shape. Like he's obviously super fit and athletic and chiseled, but he's not the size he is in Thor naturally. No. So for everything else he does, he's a lot slimmer. And in this, he's a lot slimmer, but all the things he does, you still honestly believe that he is physically powerful enough to do shit like that.
There was a moment
like,
when
doesn't
he was
look ridiculous.
Like moving and his arm just, I just thought to myself, fucking hell, that isn't a naturally large tricep.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing.
It was almost, the tricep was almost sticking out the front, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
It was
weird. Don't get me wrong, that dude he is a big guy and he's like 6'3".
Yeah.
But he's not as big. Like if you see him in the first couple of times he played Thor, he was massive. And I mean, he's one of those guys. I think we've talked, I don't know if we did it on a podcast, but we've talked about stuff before where like between takes, they're forced to hit the weights like literally every chance they get that they're off camera. So all the blood is in the parts of the body that it needs to be in, and they look bigger.
Spoke about this before, yeah.
And that's I've heard him mention that when he was playing Thor, he was dizzy because he was lifting weights that much, and then he had to go and do a scene. And the minute the camera stops rolling, the directors or his trainers saying to him like, just squeeze out 20 reps now because you'll be back on camera in 30 seconds. They're literally just resetting the scene. That's 30 seconds. You can knock out 30 reps. And he's like, it's just, you're in agony 24/7. Well, he doesn't have to do that for a role like this. So he's not that big and bulky, but that doesn't mean that he isn't, 4% body fat and chiseled like fuck. So he just looks believable. And I liked his character. I liked all the characters. I enjoyed it, man. It wasn't a perfect film. There was probably a lot about it to moan about, but we ain't Screen Masters. I think Bath and Fluff will be able to assess that better. But in terms of kills and slapping kids around,
it's got everything you need.
It was good, man. It was good.
But yeah, movies are done. Let's talk some metal and shit. Have you heard any of the new Lamb of God tunes?
So, is their full album out yet?
It wasn't yesterday when I was looking. There was 2 tunes out for it, I think.
Yeah, I've heard both of them then, although I don't remember what any of them's called. One's got a funny, Spanishy, Latin sounding name, is it?
There's one.
A quick look now.
Yeah, me too. Oh my god, the internet's slow today. Lamb of God.
Okay, so there's 3 out now. So Checkmate was the first one. I
Yeah.
heard that, and it was
Memento Mori.
standard-
That's the last.
Yeah,
one.
that was the other one. Oh no, there's a new
Oh,
one
no,
out
New
as well
Colossal
called New
Hate.
Colossal
Yeah.
Hate. Yeah, I haven't heard that. But
That was what I was
Memento
listening to
Mori.
yesterday.
Of the two that I'd heard, Checkmate was standard Lamb of God fare. Well, they both are, to be honest, but
Yeah.
they were not in that. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just if you don't listen to Lamb of God because you want something super progressive and you want it to surprise you, you listen to Lamb of God because you want to fucking hear Lamb of God.
Yeah.
And that's what you're going to get with these tracks. But I did think that Memento Mori was better than Checkmate. It just stood out more. I can't remember why. It was a couple of weeks back, but I do remember thinking, because Checkmate came out first, didn't it? It was like a week later the second one came out.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I remember thinking it just grabbed me more.
I think the issue I'm having with them at the moment, like I like them, but there's nothing like when Laid to Rest came out, when Redneck came out, there were 2 tunes that I was like, fuck, I've heard like, you know, I've heard metal a million times before, but this is something that sounds pretty fresh. Now
Set
it
to
sounds
Fail did that. I think when Set to, you know, the intro on Set to Fail, just how there's no fucking about. It's straight in with that blast. It's that just kicks you in the nuts.
Yeah. Well, I think all of these ones, they couldn't sound more Lamb of God if they tried.
Do you reckon it's because they've got that new drummer? Is it because these won't be Chris Adler, I guess?
No. These are all the new dude.
So if this is the new dude, do you reckon there's something, maybe not necessarily on their part, maybe the management or the record company or whatever have just said, you know, new drummer, we push this new record, write new tunes, make some Lamb of God sounding songs.
Yeah, you don't want to
put them out first.
I guess you don't want it to be like, you know, with Slipknot when they got the new dude in, and they sound. I mean, they were starting to sound different when Joey was still in them, but they sound different again since he's left.
Controversial opinion. He can do all. I think they're better now with him than they had been with Joey since a while ago.
I feel like probably live they probably will be.
He can do all the Joey stuff, but he puts his own stamp on it too. Like when you listen to, I was talking to Gorsk about this earlier, or late last week. If you watch him play one of their old tunes, he plays it perfectly, like Jordison did.
Yeah.
But you still know it's not Jordison because he's putting enough of his own stuff on. Like he's doing it, he's playing perfect kind of, this is how the song should be played because that's how it was written. But in his own style. Do you know what I mean? He's a great drummer for that band. And I think their new stuff is that last record, is it We Are Not Your Kind? Mm-hmm. That I think is the best record they've done in years. And I bet the injection of fresh blood had a lot to do with that.
It was better than the previous 2 albums for sure, I think.
What was the one before it? Was it the Grey Chapter before
that? The Grey Chapter before that, and then All Hope Is Gone was before
All
that.
Hope Is Gone was fucking terrible.
There was moments, I know you didn't really like it at all, but there was moments when I thought it
might as well have been a Slipknot, a Stone Sour record. It just wasn't Slipknot. It didn't. If you listen to the first, I mean, I know I've fully decided now. I've been on the fence with them for years. I've fully decided now I'm not a Stone Sour fan. Nothing against them. No. It just doesn't do anything for me. Slipknot, I do like. But if you listen to the first Stone Sour record and the first Slipknot record, or whatever Slipknot record came out, you know, in kind of a parallel time.
They're very different.
They're very different. They're 2 different bands. But that record, All Hope Is Gone, next to the Stone Sour record that came out, I don't know, the same year, the year before, whatever the case may be, they don't sound different.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know what it is, but the writing changed and everything. And the guitar tones are different, and I guess they're tuned different, so they get those lower, growly kind of notes. But Jim Root even was in Stone Sour at the time, so it even had his kind of jazz-influenced solos and stuff in it, and it just sounded too similar, but in a bad way. If Stone Sour had got heavier, I probably could have lived with it, but it was the other way around.
Yeah.
You know, and
I don't know. I feel like we talk about Stone Sour and Slipknot too much anyway, so fuck them.
I agree. One more point on Slipknot. Who was the drummer on the Grey Chapter? Was that still Jordison?
Joey Jordison, yeah, I think. Yeah,
because I feel like Jordison left fucking a ways back.
Yeah, Joey Jordison still, isn't it?
Let me see.
Oh no,
motherfucker. Discography. The Grey Chapter, 2014. So that does seem a bit early.
Oh, wait a second. Jordison being fired from the band in late 2013, as well as the
Jay Weinberg.
Yeah, Weinberg.
Yeah, but it unknown at the time. Like he recorded it, but like they didn't put. You know, no one knew who it was for a while.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be honest. I'm not overly familiar with that record, The Grey Chapter. I can't remember ever listening to it all the way through. So
no.
Maybe if I listen to that, I would. The Devil in I was
that on that? Okay, yeah, I do know that one then.
But maybe I'd listen. If I listened to that, I'd say that's where they came back up. But then again, I like Volume 3, Subliminal Verses. A lot of people are down on that. I think that was a great record.
No, there was it was okay. There was okay bits, but there was a lot of shite on it, I think.
Yeah, well, it was very different to the first two, I guess.
Anyway, we're still talking about fucking Slipknot.
Yeah,
I get it.
Do you know what?
I dig them, but I can't be asked to talk about it anymore.
You know what I did that was pretty metal this week?
I don't.
I left a bag of shit on a grave.
All right.
I didn't do it on purpose. I actually felt really bad about it when I realised what I'd done. I was walking the dog, and I take Zepp up round the cemetery in Bursley. Right. It's lovely up there. It's really peaceful, and the woods are right next to it. So we go out around the woods and that. And you go into the woods via the cemetery, and you come back out of the woods. It's just a big circular, like a loop that brings you back to almost where you started. Mm-hmm. So you come out in the cemetery as well. Well, obviously she'd had a shit, so I backed it up and I was carrying it round. But I read the graves as I'm going round, and I crouched next to a grave, and I was reading away on the headstone, and it was the only point in the entire walk that I'd stopped moving. So it had to be there at this grave. It was about 10 or 15 minutes later when I'd left the cemetery. I was nearly home.
Fucking hell, you took a while to read that.
I took it with me. Yeah, it was about 10, 15 minutes later. I was nearly home and I realised I didn't have the bag of shit anymore. So the only thing I could think of is while I was
peckish.
Yeah, but I still had half of it in the bag. And yeah, it was the only time that I could think I must have put it down when I was crouched down, because I'm not going to just drop it while I'm carrying it. I definitely didn't throw it away, and I didn't pass a bin, because quite often when I'm up there, there's one bin on the route I take her walking, and if I don't take that particular route, I don't pass a bin, so I bring it home and bin it here. And I didn't use that route that day, so I know I hadn't gone past a bin. I didn't throw it. There's no way I've just dropped it when I'm holding it in my hand. You know what I mean? You're not going to forget that you're holding something and just fucking let go. All I could think of is that I crouched next to this grave. I was reading it, and I might have, put it down because I was crouched down.
Because you were following the words with your finger and mouthing it while you were reading it.
Yeah, man, I have to. What's it called when people do that? Where people joke about it. What his lips move when he reads. You know what I mean? I am that guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the only time I could think of that I'd done it. But like the next day, because I felt bad about it, I was like, shit, that's horrible. Can you imagine if you went up?
Yeah, you're the guy that's going to see your grandpa's grave, and it's like,
and there's an actual bag of shit left on the grave next to the house.
Who hates granddad that much?
How disrespectful is that? And I genuinely felt bad about it. But I went back the next. I mean, I can't have felt that bad, or I'd have gone back there and then, wouldn't I? But I went back the next day, and it wasn't there. So whether I was wrong and I did drop it, and I'm that fucking dopey that I just didn't notice I'd dropped, like something had just come out of my hand when it's the only thing in my hand, either that or someone had found it, realised how fucking disrespectful that is, and they'd moved it.
Yeah.
But now what
Probably the
worries me,
second.
well, that's what I thought. Like,
What?
I'm
Do you
pretty
think someone might have
certain.
seen you?
No. I mean, it was. Oh man, I nearly made a huge pun accidentally. I was just going to say it was dead up there. There was there was no one around. It was really quiet. There was no one around at all, which actually surprised me. That's why I remember there was no one there, because I remember thinking there's normally a few people out with their dogs, and it was just no one around at all that day. But I think someone will probably notice it was me anyway, because the bags that Rach got, you know, like they're in a little roll and they go in like a holder on the lead.
Yeah.
They're bright pink. They're really distinctive. So someone's going to see me carrying that round.
Is that like
And if
that prison in America where they don't let them smoke or anything, and they make them wear pink jumpsuits? It's to fucking emasculate it,
Dehumanize them.
to make it.
I think she bought the pink ones, to be honest, just because she bought them and she's a girl. I don't think she
Okay, fair
thought it would make me look. And to be honest, man, how manly can you look carrying a bag of shit? It doesn't
Really
matter to me what
manly.
colour the bag is in.
I don't carry a bag
That
of shit. I
shit is
carry the
in
shit in my hand and I'm like fucking growling while I'm doing it.
Yeah, and if someone looks at you, you just squeeze it in your fist so it comes out through the gaps in your fingers.
Well, you're overestimating how big a chihuahua's poo is, but yeah.
That's a good point, actually. That's a good point. But yeah, so that was the most metal thing I did recently. I explained to my son how an elbow might have a dick. How a dick might have an elbow for the comedy purposes.
Both are pretty funny images. Just walking around with a fucking dick on your elbow.
That might happen. They grew an ear on the back of a mouse, man. Maybe the next stage is dicks on elbows.
Maybe.
Would you have one on each, or would you just have one superior arm? Like if you were given a choice, if I said to you, Phil, I have developed the technology to graft, or what did they do with that mouse? Did they graft an ear on or grow it? They grew it, didn't they?
They grew it, yeah.
So I've developed the technology where you can grow body parts on other body parts. I want to make you my first human trial. Which elbow do you want a dick on, or would you like a dick on both elbows? What are you going to say?
I think I'd have a dick on my left elbow.
That's weird, man. I was going to say left.
Well, my right's already taken up with a badass spider that I don't want to deface. So,
unless you could position it in a place that it looked like the spider had a massive cock.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, actually.
That could work. Oh, how big do you reckon a spider's cock is?
Not huge,
big, can it?
No, well, they don't have a dick, do they? They do that thing where they put like spooge sacks into the Mrs. Spider, in it.
So they've got these pink bags.
Just put the liquid in.
They've got these pink dog shit bags. They knock one off
full of jizz. Yeah,
fill it,
stuff it in
good, like chock full of spider sploof, and then they just chuck it at women.
Hey, do you know what I found out today?
Now I want to know.
So, you know, spiders, like the baby spiders, they can fly on those like little parachutes they build themselves. Apparently, it's not like the wind that picks them up. It's they can make they can change the electromagnetic polarity on the webs, on the threads, so that they just like lift up. Apparently, it's not anything to do with the.
So it's a static charge that
I think
lifts them off the ground.
I think that's what it was trying to basically explain to me. Yeah,
I'm no scientist, but that I could believe because of their size and their mass. I would imagine it wouldn't take much of a charge to have them move. You know?
Can you imagine like the sack of eggs just splits and all of a sudden you just get puffed in the face with fucking 1,000 baby spiders? That'd be horrible. Cute,
it wouldn't be fun, but they'd be so small. I imagine it'd just be like dust.
You'd breathe them in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but they ain't gonna last down there. I don't think they'd do you any harm.
I know.
It's not like you're gonna die full of spiders, is it? Whoa, that's a great name for a metal song. Die Full of Spiders.
Yeah.
Die Full of Spiders, man. I'm gonna be thinking about that for ages. No, I'm not. I'm gonna forget it in like 20 minutes.
Cadaverous spider sack.
That's a Cannibal Corpse t-shirt waiting to happen. I'll check it out.
Ripped open with a load of little baby spiders coming out.
check it out.
Check what out?
So I've got two stories that have just come up because of what we've just been talking about. So speaking of
Smashing.
spiders, like I know they're not insects, but tiny, buggy creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Something else I felt really bad about that I've had to do recently is I had to kill an entire. It's not a hive because they're honeybees, so like a comb of bees. I had to kill an entire hive comb, but not even in a way that's like, right, they're poisoned and they'll die. We've had this. So our house is a detached house, but the gap between us and the building next door is called a hairline detached. The gap is only a couple of inches.
Right.
And there are honeycombs in the gap, but they're abandoned. Like there's no bees living them. But there is a brick missing in the building next door, right next to my front door. There is a brick missing, and there is a live bee comb in the wall cavity. So we can't use the front door. The postman has refused to come to the house anymore. If he walks past and he can't get anyone's attention, he keeps our post because it's just swarming with bees. Yeah, they're honeybees. Yeah.
So they're not stingy bees.
Well, I don't even know if honeybees can attack.
Drones don't have stings. I don't think.
That actually makes a lot of sense because I was standing up there the other day doing just this that the story leads to, and I even said to Rach afterwards, I felt really bad because fucking loads of them came out while I was doing it. Not one of them attacked me. None of them. So that makes sense if they're incapable. But basically, we had a beekeeper come out and he said to remove them, he'd have to take half the wall apart and it's going to be structural. So it makes the building damage. It might possibly compromise the
if it's a supporting wall and stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Which it more than likely is, given that it's
the outside.
It's an exterior wall the length of the building, so it's more than likely it's supporting. He said he had a look inside and there's nothing in there, but it's a brick wall inside as well. So he said it's going to be an old school because it's part of their garage, but the house is empty, so he couldn't get into it anyway. Just had to look through a window. Thankfully, there's a window on the garage door. Long story short, he said there's nothing he can do to get them out, but because they're honeybees, they're not like protected or endangered or whatever. So we can kill them. He advised, he said, what you want to do is put loads of ant powder in there and then block it up with newspaper. And he said they will eat through the newspaper, but they'll take the ant powder back to the queen. And if the queen dies, either they'll all die or they'll fuck off. So if the queen's gone, you're out of trouble. So we did that. Then it didn't do shit. So then I was like, right, I put a load of expanding foam in it to block it up, thinking, and more ant powder, thinking now they can't eat through the paper so quick. They'll eat through this, but not so quick. So they've got longer to kill the queen, basically. Within 2 days, they were all back. I thought, for fuck's sake. So last weekend, I sealed it all with mortar, with, I've got this cement for pointing. So it's exactly it's the cement you'd use for what I was doing, in between bricks and shit. I covered it completely. The next morning, while I was doing it, this is when they all came out while I was doing it, and none of them attacked me. And I genuinely felt bad because I didn't want to kill any of them. But the next day, there must have been, well, the guy reckons that in one comb like that, the beekeeper dude, he said that there'll easily be over 1,000 in it. Depends how big it is.
Colony.
Yeah. And he said, depends on the size. There could be any number of thousand, but in any colony, there'll easily be over 1,000 in there.
Shit.
I bet there were 200 or 300 on that wall the next day, just clinging to it, trying to find a way in. So Rach got hold of the guy again and said, we've covered it up. Why is this happening now? How are they getting out? And why are they trying to if they found another way out, why are they trying to get back in on this bit that we've blocked? And he said, that's more than likely the foragers that were out at night.
I was going to say, is that the ones that were already out?
This is the thing. So he said they'll do it for 2 or 3 days. But when they realise they can't get in, they might not be getting their signal from the queen anymore, however that works. So they will either find another colony to join or they'll just die. It's that simple. So he said, just give it a few days. Well, Rach went to check today because there weren't many there. So she was like, oh, that's good. No. They've eaten through the fucking concrete. So all the ones that were outside have just gone back in. And because it was cool today, they didn't come back out. So thankfully, I've got more of this, the cement. I've got more of that. So I'm just going to fucking properly go at it this time. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to layer that shit up thick as fuck, and I'm going to do it. I think I might have had it a little bit too damp before as well, because if they've eaten through it, it must have still been slightly damp. There's no way they could eat through that shit when it's dry.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend longer mixing it and make sure it's right. But yeah, man, I'm leaving bags of shit on graves. I'm killing fucking entire colonies of bees.
You're a prick this month.
It's yeah, man. I feel like I've had to be pretty fucking robotic and cold over this last week. What about you? You killed anything or desecrated any Christian monuments?
I don't remember killing anything, I don't think. What have I done? I mean, I'm still working, obviously.
As am I.
On
and off.
What have I seen? What have I done? No, really. I mean, life outside's pretty uneventful. Go to the shops every now and again, get drunk a little bit every now and again. There's not really a lot going on. No gigs happening.
So tell me what you've been listening to instead.
Oh, all sorts. Everything from Def Leppard, Poison. I had Lamb of God on like all morning yesterday.
Nice.
Metallica all morning the day before. I listened to 2 Metallica albums. I'm like going from start to finish. Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning.
I feel like Ride the Lightning doesn't get the credits due.
There's bits on it where it's really good, but
Fire with Fire's on it, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, well, isn't that the opener? What's the opener on there?
Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I think it is, you know.
Do you know the thing I think that lets it down is there's a lot of kind of lagging, not super excitingness on it. It's okay.
I used to love it, but Trapped Under Ice is on that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that song anymore.
I
used to love it, but it's one I always skip now. Yeah, Fight Fire with Fire is the opener.
Well, it's like For Whom the Bell Tolls. I like the main riff on that, like the chorus riff on that. And there's
Creeping Death, for fuck's sake.
Creeping Death's a hell of a song. But the first verse and the main riff for the chorus are like awesome. But then it does it again and it's like it's just really repeat. Yeah, it's really repeaty. The ending's fun because it's just like slows down just a little bit every time. It's almost like Tactical Nuke by Acacia Strain, but not quite as extreme.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It always makes me. It's the opposite of One, where One starts slow and then explodes at the end.
Yeah.
For Whom the Bell Tolls starts with this pounding kind of tune and slows down at the end. I always think of it as like the anti-One, which is weird because as Metallica tunes go, they were both big singles. So it's odd that, in my mind at least, they're kind of juxtaposed.
Do you know what I found? Well, I say I found out today. I probably knew it at some point during time. I probably knew it at the time I was alive. But did you know Wonderwall only ever got to number 2?
It's not something I ever really thought about, but if someone asked me...
Well, like, for all the dick sucking it gets...
chart position did it get? I'd probably say number 1.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Because, you know, anytime anyone picks up an acoustic guitar, someone's going, "Oh, can you play Wonderwall?" Of course I can play fucking Wonderwall. I'm going to no, but can I? Yes.
And then you straight fucking punch them in the throat.
Yeah, take that, you son of a bitch.
Son of bitch.
Don't you ever ask me this again.
I can't with Oasis. There's like 4 songs that I listen to. Stand By Me is a good song.
Yes, all right. That album was pretty good.
Which record is that on?
The one with the clock on the inside when you take the CD out. What the fuck's it called? It's got "Do You Know What I Mean" on it and stuff.
Yeah, 3rd record. I remember the only Oasis record I've ever actually had was the 2nd one. What's the Story? Morning Glory, the one with Wonderwall on it. And I do remember that liking bollocks. Pardon me. I do remember liking a good amount of that at the time I had it. But I've listened to Oasis since. Like, I've tried to listen to Oasis since, and it's literally I can't listen to this shit. Skip.
At the time I had like the first two albums, I used to go between them. Like I'd listen to one, then listen to the other, and go back to the first one again and keep doing that because I was like, yeah, I love this shit. But
The
then
only song I'm definitely
my taste just matured, and I was like, yeah, that can't listen to that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's to me, it's music of very, very little substance. But at the same time, you can't like knock Noel Gallagher's songwriting ability.
It's pop. I mean, well, this is it. I mean,
He's great at writing what he writes.
To me, that is the only real, like, people have done that thing where they're like, oh yeah, there are new Beatles, and they did the same thing with what's that fucking McFly? They did the same thing with them, where they're like, they write pop tunes with 3 chords that aren't punk, so it must be Beatles.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree where McFly are concerned, because they had quite. I mean, I wouldn't say they're super intelligent musicians, but they weren't just a simple 3-chord thing.
No,
they were
and
really
they had
good.
the harmonies and stuff.
Yeah, but they were really good, like just guitar-wise, they were really good. They used the Beatles chords, things like the Beatles were big on like 11th chords and 6th chords and major 7ths and stuff like that, which Noel Gallagher never did. But the guys in McFly, I don't know their names, but the 2 dudes that play guitar, I assume they're writing the songs. Like that tune, obviously, I think was one of their big things, because obviously she's out of my league. Sure. That was well written. And if you look at how to play that, it's not a difficult song to play, but it's not just your straight major and minor pop stuff. No. It's not just power chords. And it made me think like that they've obviously had some kind of a musical education, and they're probably Beatles fans, because it's very Beatles kind of chord structures that they were using. But at the same time, it was still pop. It was just intelligent pop. But the thing is, they went the way of a load of pop bands that start off quite smart, that you think these boys have got something about them. It might not be for me, but at least they're not just knocking out like, you know, so like they're not Bieber. They're not just knocking out some EDM backing track with a nursery rhyme on top.
And then you have to put yet after that, because then they'll get to like the 3rd or the 4th album, and that's exactly
all they're fucking doing. Exactly. I don't understand. Like if they've got off the ground and they've got 2 records under their belt that are doing well, why do they feel the need to change that? I could understand it if they were underground and they were doing something, and to make it big they had to change their style. Why do it 3 records in when you've already got a name? Is it to follow the times? Because that music's popular then, so they want to stay relevant?
That's one of the reasons, I guess, because they get bored of what they've been doing and they want to change. You know, when you join a band when you're 15, it doesn't mean that by the time you're 25 that's what you want to be playing, isn't it?
Yeah, very true. Very true. And I mean, don't get me wrong, pop is not as simple as, I mean, you know this better than anyone. You're a big pop fan of certain eras, at least. But
I mean, any era really. I just can't take British pop music at the moment. I struggle with British pop music at the moment.
I think it's my age. I dig 80s pop.
There's a lot of 80s influence stuff coming out at the moment now, which is
good. I've noticed that. But I mean, 90s pop I can dig because it's nostalgic.
I struggle, man. There's an over kind of shadowing gleam on it. I mean, it's a bit of an oxymoron, but there's this overshadowing gleam on the top of everything 90s. And the epitome of this for me is Reach for the Stars. I hate that song with the fire of 1,000 suns. It makes me feel physically sick. And it sounds just like it was made in a machine, by a machine, for machines.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I mean, to be fair, I would say more pop sounds like that than doesn't. And it's the standout stuff that doesn't sound like that lasts. Like, even as popular as that song was, and as much as you'll still hear it on a Friday night in some shithole in the middle of a big city, you know, when all the, because it's our age group that are frequenting them places now. So for them,
it's got to be ironically though. Who's listening to that and thinking, shit, this is the pinnacle of music? Even
them cunts that are in them bars every fucking Saturday night, or at least when we were allowed to do that on a Saturday night. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. If I'm out in town and that song comes on, I'll fucking have a silly sing along and a dance to it in a bar because I'm shit faced. Not one of them people's putting that on in the car the next day. Fucking not one of them, not a single one. But I bet people are still putting I'll Take That CDs on in the car.
Mate, I'm still
You know what I
putting
mean?
Steps on, but I won't put S Club 7 on.
Dude, I spent a good portion of last week listening to Billy Ocean.
Fuck yeah, you did.
That's the kind of pop music that will always last because it's just good music. It's got this real crazy soul influence. He's got a great voice. You know he had a hand in writing those songs.
There's so much difference though. There's so much variation. To say like it's not that massive a time span between the earlier stuff and the later stuff. There's 60s influence stuff on there that sounds like it comes from the 60s.
Yeah, totally. Like I say, it's a big
Love
soul
Really Hurts
thing.
Without You and Red
Very
Light.
60s, yeah.
So such like.
But then like Get Out of My Dreams and Caribbean Queen
that's
are
just
as
so
80s as it gets. You know?
Yeah.
It's Billy Ocean. I want him to be my granddad so fucking hard. He's so cool. Like even now. And when we saw him at that, I don't remember what it's called. What was that ship called that we went to in Leeds? So
Rewind Festival or something festival.
So there's this thing, people might know about it. There's this big thing. It's not just in Leeds. They do it all over the country, and every year it's a different lineup. Obviously, like these festivals are, but they're always pop and they're always of an era. And when we went, it was
Rewind.
Is that what it was? Rewind. It's normally 80s. Because again, the people who are now buying tickets to go to shit like that, the people with the money, are the ones that like us, that grew up through the 80s and 90s. So we remember that music. So we had Jason Donovan, Chesney Hawkes, Soul to Soul.
Oh shit! I forgot Jason Donovan was there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
We had Toya, we had Cutting Crew. There was a band with China in the name, I'm sure, but I don't remember who they were. It wasn't China White. I can't remember. Some of them, I'll be honest, like I know music probably more than the average Joe, and I didn't know who Cutting Crew were until they played.
They have two songs that I'm kind of like I would know.
Died in Your Arms, innit? That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Until they played that, which they finished with, like that was the last song of their set. Until they played that, I didn't realise who they were. Well,
China Crisis.
China Crisis, that was it, yeah. Until Cutting Crew played Died in Your Arms. Like, that's not true. It's not like I didn't know who they were. They played that song. I was like, oh, it's those guys. I didn't know who they were when we had the tickets. I'd seen their name on the poster and stuff, and we got the tickets for free, which is why we went. Well, no, you got yours for free. I got mine cheap, didn't I? Because a promoter, me and Rach were running a pub at the time, and a promoter said that he'd give us discount tickets if we advertised the festival.
Yeah.
So he gave us these discount tickets, and I got them like half price. And because you used to DJ for us, I got us tickets to go. I knew you'd dig it, like, so I got us tickets to go down. And when I'd seen Cutting Crew were playing, I didn't know who they were. And I think it might have been you who said that that's what they'd done. But during the set, I didn't recognize a single song. And then they played Died in Your Arms. And I'm like, okay, it's those guys.
I think he played a couple of covers as well, didn't he?
Do you know, I honestly don't remember all.
I know there was a lot of covers throughout the day.
Yeah.
They tended to do covers of the contemporaries as well. Chesney Hawkes, he did covers even.
Yeah, Chesney Hawkes did. He did a Buddy Holly song, and I can't help but think he's still cashing in on that one film that he did, which is where the one and only came from.
Yeah.
It's called Buddy's Song or something like that, where he played a kid who...
Didn't it have Roger Daltrey or somebody?
Yeah, he played his dad. And whatever the fuck that film was about, the one and only was from that, and the one and only got to, well, I guess number one. It was, it was a big tune. That's another one like that fucking S Club 7 tune. What's that called?
Reach for the Stars.
Reach for the Stars, yeah. The one and only is another one of them. Like, no one's putting that on in the car. Fucking no one is choosing to listen to that. But if you're shit-faced drunk on a Saturday night, like in the middle of fucking Leeds, Newcastle, London, pick your city, if that tune comes on, fucking everyone sing along because you're arsehole drunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's Reach for the Stars all over. No one's choosing to listen to that.
The thing is, I don't know what it is about Reach for the Stars in particular. I used to have this problem with, I just called Say I Love You by Stevie Wonder. It used to make me feel very sick.
I remember you told me about that before.
Yeah, Reach for the not anymore for some reason. I've grown accustomed to it and I quite enjoy it when it comes on now. I think because I've grown a deeper appreciation for the blind songsmith himself. But
yeah, man.
It's Reach for the Stars. I can't see me ever coming around to that, not wanting me to cut my ears off.
So we've talked a little bit of metal. I've been listening to we talked a lot of pop. And I do want to bring, I know we don't want to run like really long today, but there is one thing I want to discuss with you just to get your opinion on.
Yeah,
but before we come to that, let me tell you what I've been listening to, because I tried a few things that I either haven't listened to in a very long time or stuff that I am aware of, but I've never really paid attention to before. So Black Dahlia Murder, haven't listened to in fucking years.
Mm-hmm.
And just yesterday, randomly, a tune called Raped with Hatred by Vines of Thorns came on just randomly on Spotify, and it was fucking mint. It was awesome. I properly got into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked for a few other tunes. What do you think of Black Dahlia Murder?
I like them. I like them live because they make me laugh. And
I get the impression that they don't take themselves too seriously, even with song titles like that. It just came across like they enjoyed it.
Yeah. Do you know, if I see them on a festival lineup, I'll go and see them because
I'll bet.
They're a fun band. They're not the kind of thing I put on a lot at home. I don't know why. It's never my go-to, but I do like them.
New Acacia Strain record was good.
Heavy, man.
Is it called C? It's just a letter, in it. It's a single letter.
C, yeah.
That was good. I enjoyed that. I couldn't tell you a single title off it. I just put it on from the beginning, listened through, enjoyed it. Viscera's full record. I'm glad that's out in full now because
I haven't even listened to that yet.
Oh, dude.
They don't come up on. I haven't got anything tagged on me.
Oh, I don't. I just randomly
Spotify.
search these bands.
Well, this is the thing. I don't, because I'm lazy. I just put on what I always put on unless it comes up on my
radar thing,
daily playlist thing. But I should really start tagging bands because otherwise I miss stuff.
You know what's really cool about that Viscera record? So you put me onto Viscera and only had 2 tunes out at the time. It was Lamb to the Slaughter and what is it? It's a woman's name, Dahlia.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the 2 tunes that were out when you put me onto them. Then a third tune came out, Obsidian. And after that, they went quiet for a little bit. But then the record dropped, and the record is called Obsidian as well. And those tunes were awesome on their own. Like, it was obvious this band are really fucking cool. But listening to them in the context of an album, there's a really good flow through the record. Like, one tune leads onto the next so well.
Well, I think that's was a good thing on the Heart of a Coward stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's definitely an influence. Is it Jamie, the singer?
Yeah.
Is he the only one from Heart of a Coward in Viscera?
Because
there's moments where it really comes through, like, kind of shit. Yeah, like when I was listening to it today, the record.
Fuck off, Bing. Fuck me. I hate Bing so bad.
I keep getting that. It keeps fucking popping up on here. But yeah, so there's just moments on that record when you suddenly remember, like, oh shit, yeah, this is the dude from Heart of a Coward. And I don't think it's just his voice that makes you think that. I feel like there's something going on in the background, some guitar work or drum work or whatever that makes you think, shit, Heart of a Coward. And it makes me, I don't know, it makes me wonder whether one of the other dudes has come with him from Heart of a Coward as well. But that record's great. There's a tune on it called Immersed in Ire.
Yeah, I think that's one of the singles, wasn't it, that they dropped?
It might have been, actually. Yeah, they might put 4 out before the record, but that is fucking outstanding. Let me just have a quick look. I'm fucking terrible with song titles, man. I'm going to look up the record because there was another song that really stood out. Afflictions really good, but that was one of the singles. In fact, they put out fucking 5 according to Spotify. Let me see. Carpe Noctem. That's it. There's a tune on it called Carpe Noctem. And the last song is called Silentium, and that's pretty cool as well. But now, Carpe Noctem, which I think, in fact, it definitely means seize the night, because that's one of the lines in the song, seize the night. But
yeah, because
Carpe Diem in it. But it's
seize the day.
That's fucking mint. It's just such a cool flow to the record, man. It's really good. And I was listening to. Are you familiar with Rings of Saturn?
Yeah, it's a bit proggy for me.
See, I dig the prog thing, but have you seen on YouTube there was all this bullshit controversy surrounding guitarists who are falsifying what they can play, basically. They're using stuff like Guitar Pro. They're recording things by programming it in or recording it themselves and then speeding it up. And then when they're doing playthroughs, people like Levi Clay, Jared Dines, oh, fuck me. I can't remember the other YouTuber. There's another YouTuber that I watched that chimed in on it, and he seems to know his stuff.
Terraberry?
I believe he brought it up a little bit, but the dude I'm thinking of isn't a YouTube guitarist. He's a YouTube metal dude,
okay.
But he's pretty big, and he brought it up as well. I thought this is a couple of months back. People were talking about it. The guy from Rings of Saturn was one of the main guys that had been named in it, but I watched a video that he put up in response. It does, to be honest, it does sound like it couldn't be a person playing it. It's too
tight,
mechanical, you know what I mean? And I could see why people were accusing. Now, people like Levi Clay that really know their guitar work and whatnot says that when he watches the guy play it, he is absolutely 100% convinced that he's miming, because he's not even, his fingers don't even seem to be making contact with certain strings. His picking hand isn't in the right place when he's sweeping and stuff. And I'm like, look, I don't know that much about, as much as I play guitar, I'm not qualified to say whether that's correct or not. But this dude, I can't remember his name, the guy from Rings of Saturn. I think I'm going to get this wrong, but I think it's Lucas something. He put this video out saying, so there was, as well as him doing the playthroughs and stuff, another reason people were up in arms about it is because there was a bunch of videos recorded on phones from their live shows. And they're filming him from right at the front, at his feet, filming him, and it sounds recorded while he's playing it. Now, in his defense was, when I'm on stage, right, he said, basically, there's me and one other guitarist in the band. But in order to sound like the record, where we've recorded like 6-part harmony, we'll play 1 part each, and the rest of it is coming through on a backing, because they don't have a drummer, so the drums are pre-programmed. So there's obviously an element of backing even when they're live. But he says in order to fill that sound out and make it sound like it does on record, you need 6 guitar parts or whatever. So he says what he has in his monitor, his foldback on the floor, is not in ears, is just one of those harmony lines, which he finds relevant enough to play his part to.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the stage, the other guitarist has a separate harmony line in his foldback that he's playing to. So that's 4 guitar lines right there.
Yeah.
Now, he says every one of these videos, to be fair, there's only been like 3 recorded at their show on a phone. He said, for a start, it's been recorded on a phone, so you're not getting a full sonic scope. They're right at my feet, which means they are standing next to my foldback. So they're watching me, they're getting the action of me playing, but what the mic on the phone is picking up is the pre-recorded harmony line from the monitor. So that's why it doesn't look real. And then he himself had put out an ad looking for people who'd recorded from further back. And he showed one of these videos, and sure enough, it sounded completely different. And you could hear more guitar parts, whereas in all these other videos, you can only hear one. And I don't know exactly what the crack is with it. The guy seems pretty genuine, to be fair. Like, he doesn't seem like he's got anything to hide. And in this video, where he's in his house, he picks up a guitar and plays the part live there and then. So it's not like he's incapable of doing it.
No, you know? Would you know the thing, right? So, I mean, just from personal experience, I was I'm still in band Mercury Killed Newton.
Yeah, man.
When we play live, we've got a backing to play to.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because it's part of the music.
Tim and Brad, they'll record their parts into. I think they were using Reaper at the time.
Hmm.
And then we'll send it away to get edited. It'll come back, and the guitars sound 100% tighter than anybody could play. You know, they sound almost robotic, but that's the style, that's the sound.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole kind of modern I don't want to say gent because it's not all gent, but like tech metal, gent included, the super low tuned modern metal stuff. The thing that makes it what it is, like one of its most significant elements is how tight it is.
Yeah.
So it did. I don't know where I stand on it, because what Levi Clay and all these other guys were saying is it's very disingenuous to do it live. But if you've got your reasons, that's fair enough. But when you're sitting doing playthroughs, you are basically saying to people, you're giving us something to aim for that is impossible to do. And that's not fair. And on top of that, you're making beginners who look at that. Some of them might never play guitar again because they'll hear how perfect it sounds and just think that is absolutely unattainable. And it's not fair what you're doing to the instrument. You're making it sound like it can do things that it can't.
Yeah.
If you're being disingenuous enough to pretend that that's you doing it live. But then I also understand the other side where that dude's saying there are backing elements. And if someone's filming right next to my foldback monitor at my feet, they are going to see me doing one thing while the microphone is picking up a completely different track. And therefore it will look ridiculous. So I can understand why I'm being accused of this. But his main problem was, why did no one ask me? Yeah. Why did no one just approach me and ask why it looks strange?
On a similar note,
explained.
On a similar note, so do you remember a band from the early 2000s called Trapped?
Oh, fuck me. Headstrong.
Yeah.
Man,
so they had that one song.
He is king of the dickheads.
Well, do you know the thing is, though, he wasn't anyone like 6 months ago. Who the fuck was he? No one even knew him. And then he started like trolling everybody's fucking videos. Like he was trolling the guitarist from Veil of Maya, and I'm like, you can't troll him when all you're playing is power chords.
But he claimed to be able to outplay him on every level.
Yeah, well, he commented on a little bit of the Veil of Maya video saying, yeah, and how much did you have to speed that up, you know, and pretend to play it? And it's like, he doesn't. He's just fucking awesome.
He's been practicing that shit since he was 10.
Yeah.
He can do it. No one's ever accused him of being fake either. I mean, he is obviously just capable of doing what he does. And he does it live, and he never drops a note. And then he got this fucking bell end. Something Taylor Brown, is it? Chris Taylor Brown or something daft like that?
Did you see
he's uber conservative Trump supporter. He makes homophobic and racist comments
I forgot that. That's like
basis.
He's got like MAGA on his like front page for Trapped.
The dude is you see, you could say, like you just said yourself, 6 months ago, this dude was a ghost. He was a memory of like the early 2000s new metal scene, and they weren't even big in that. It was just one single that went somewhere.
No, they weren't anybody's any favorite. They weren't even on the list of anybody's favorite anything.
Do you know what he's done? He's done the same thing, but in the polar opposite way to that dude from who's the singer he's doing Wayne Static in Static X now.
Oh, from Dope, I can't remember his name.
That guy, right? So Rob Flynn made a flippant comment about him, and his retort was, very, very concise and very grown up. He didn't rise to it at all. He just kind of answered what Rob Flynn was saying, mentioned how they used to go on tour together and they were friends. He doesn't understand where this animosity is coming from and whatnot. But then Rob Flynn basically said, who the fuck are Dope? No one even remembers that shit or whatever. For no reason, he just said it. So at the end of this big thing, he said, by the way, who listen? That's it. He said, who even listens to Dope anymore? He screenshot their monthly listens, Dope's monthly listens for a song called, is it Fuck Off and Die or something like that?
It's that one with the Die Motherfucker Die on it.
Die Motherfucker Die, that's it, not Fuck Off and Die. So this is where it all came from. Rob Flynn had a line in a song that a Machine Head track, and it was Die Motherfucker Die, and someone, a few people, hundreds of thousands of people basically commented saying it was a Dope rip-off. And to be fair, it wasn't at all. All he did, it's that one line he used, that's it. And it
could be as much
a million times
exactly
before.
It could as much be a rip-off of Slipknot.
Yeah, exactly. It's been used. Well, no one accused Slipknot of ripping off Dope. You know what I mean?
No.
The thing is, Rob Flynn didn't have to rise to it. And if he did, he could have just said, like, oh, we used to tour with Dope. Those guys were cool. But instead, it was like, who the fuck even listens to Dope anymore? So the guy from Dope basically gave this huge, like, open letter as a response, which Rob Flynn had to then respond to. It was a long fucking story, as always. But at the end of this thing, he screenshotted Spotify's monthly listens, Dopes versus Machine Heads. And Dope had, I think, 1.2 million listens per month, or overall it might have been more than Machine Head. So he's just said, by the way, evidently 1.2 million people more are still listening to Dope more than Machine Head. So it was very concise, and it was clever. This dickhead from Trapped, every time he picks a fight with someone from a band, he brings up, we trounce you on Pandora every month.
What the fuck is Pandora even?
Pandora is the world's smallest music streaming service. It's fucking...
What, smaller than Tidal?
It's on a par with Tidal. To be fair, it's not that it's tiny. It's just it's not one of the big boys. He picks that one because for some reason he's got some reasonable numbers on that. But the thing is, all he does is show numbers overall. So what he did to, I can't remember who it was, but it's a band that have been going they've been big maybe 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
He picked on them and he used this line on them. And the guy came back at him and said, well, that's your overall listens and you've been collecting them for 18 years. In 5 years, we're only 300,000 behind you. And if you look at how many listens we get per month, you're getting like literally 100 and we're getting 400,000. So give me a month and we'll be ahead of you. But the guy just responds with, you know, something ridiculous. Like he called the guy from Trivium. He refuses to use the word Trivium. He just keeps referring to him as a Metallica cover band.
That is like a 2010 joke. It's not even funny.
The guy, like you could argue he's really good at PR, like because
he's really good at trolling, yeah.
But all he's doing is making everyone fucking hate him, and there is no way on earth that this is going to make Trapped come back.
No. If
he now announces like Trapped touring this year, we're going to be on the. Can you imagine if they turned up at a festival? We're doing a festival, so they get fucking obliterated.
Was I tripping, or was Scott Stapp saying something about a new album?
He's been putting work out for years, solo work.
Yeah, but
it's ever gone anywhere.
Exactly, but I'm sure he said he's got a new album, and he was saying about Creed as well. Apparently, like there could never be another Creed album unless he was on it because contractually he has to be the singer in Creed or something like that.
Well, to be fair, man, Mark Tremonti, Scott Phillips, and Brian, whatever his name is, moved on from Brian Blessed. They went on to Alter Bridge. And Alter Bridge is 10 times bigger than Creed. I wouldn't say that Creed ever was, because when Creed were big,
they were huge. Human Clay, fucking
man. And Weathered, when they released that tune, My Sacrifice, and 6 feet down, I think it's called. I won't lie, I was a Creed fan.
6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking.
I was a Creed fan back in the day, and I still listen to that now and then now. And that first record was the one that wasn't big, and it's fucking brilliant. There's some great songs on that.
Which is the one that's got bullets on?
Weathered. His first track on Weathered.
And
which was their last. What If is on Human Clay, I think.
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, they've done some great tunes, and I still listen to them now and then now. But Scott Stapp is like in a dream world. He insisted, well, he didn't insist, but like he suggested Creed reform, which they did in like 2009, 2010, and they released a new record called Full Circle, and they went on tour. But he, from what I heard this in an interview from Mark Tremonti himself, they did it and they were up for it. But by the time it came to touring it and stuff like that, it was kind of begrudgingly doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The record isn't great. And their biggest focus now is Alter Bridge, obviously, because that's the better band and it's the one that's more relevant and it's more their band. Because like you just said, Creed, as much as Mark Tremonti's now quite a, pretty well-known guitar player and Alter Bridge are a big well-known band, Creed, people think Scott Stapp.
Yeah.
But even Mark Tremonti has said there'll never be another Creed record. Like he has no interest in reforming Creed at all.
Mm-hmm.
So Scott Stapp can say there'll never be another Creed record without me. Yeah, well,
but there won't be one anyway. Because Mark Tremonti is like, I think he named 4 people in the band that had to be in the band for it to be a Creed record. So
well, that makes sense. I can understand that. Like if he said there'll never be another Creed record without all 4. If he said there'd never be another Creed record without all 4 original members of Creed, because otherwise it wouldn't be Creed, I could kind of respect what he's saying.
There's a bit of respect, yeah.
But I feel like what he's saying is there'd never be another Creed record if them 3 boys wanted to reform without me, which they wouldn't want to do because they did that already and called it Alter Bridge, and it's fucking better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for today's audience, it is better if Creed were making Creed songs the way Creed were making Creed songs in the late 90s, early 2000s, then
they'd have disappeared by now anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be good to listen to by modern audiences.
I tell you what, though, I think the first Creed record is worth a listen. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's called My Own Prison.
I'm aware of
good
the
record
name. I'm not sure that I know it off the top of my head.
So the title track, My Own Prison, is brilliant. There's a song on it called fuck me, what's it called? There's one called One that's not bad. The first 3 or 4 tracks on the record are brilliant, and there's one called Sister that's really good. But it's still Scott Stapp's voice, but musically, it's a lot heavier, and it's a lot more raw, and it's really underproduced. You can tell it was done on a small budget.
Do you know this?
It all lends itself to a sound that was really cool, and then the second record came out, and they'd gone huge, and it was suddenly pop.
The the late 90s had a lot of albums where you'd have like 4. It's almost like they wrote an EP and were forced into making an album. There's like 3 or 4 songs on it that are like, yeah, they're pretty good, and then a massive lull until you get to like the last 2 songs, and it's like, oh yeah, that's all right.
It's filler, man. I mean, it's so many records suffer from that, and I feel like now and then you'll get a record comes out like Viscera. That going back to that record is one that they weren't contractually obliged to write. They weren't making it. The last Fit for an Autopsy record, See a Tragic Beast, is the same. No one's forcing this band to write a record. No one's saying to them, look, we need another 3 singles out here. No one's doing any of that shit. Bands like that are doing what they do because that's what they do. And those are the records that don't have filler on. Everything is to be expected.
The thing is, with this is basically what you're saying in a roundabout way. It's the reason that a second album's so difficult, because the first album, you've got all the time in the world to write all the tracks you want, make it the way that you want it to sound. And that's why they tend to have a lot of good songs on your first album. It doesn't always make sense start to finish as like one coherent piece, but it's like full of good songs. And then the second album, you've got something to prove. You've got a very difficult task in making it better than your last album. And you've got a certain amount of time that they expect another album from you. So you've got to stuff songs in there that even if you don't think it's cooked.
And do you know what? bands like Tool, I mean, 13 years is a bit excessive, but even Metallica, like 8 years for Metallica between releasing the last 2 records. And
the financial restraints and the time restraints aren't there anymore, so they can do what they want.
Exactly. And I mean, that kind of freedom as a musician is necessary. I think. I don't think you're not going to, some people in some careers work better under pressure. That's fair enough. I've even heard people like directors and stuff talk about how, if I was given 10 years to make a film, it'd be sloppy. But when they tell me I've got 6 months to get the entire shoot done, I'll get my best work because that kind of pressure helps me work. Well, that's fair enough. But that's 6 months to produce the final product once the writing is already done. If you said to a band, like, you've got 6 months to record this record, or you've got 3 weeks to record this record, that kind of pressure might help. But you can't tell people you've got 3 weeks to write a record, because creativity
it comes when it wants.
Exactly. And I mean, I know it sounds really cliched and kind of fucking hippie, but you can't choke that kind of stuff with you can't be creative because someone's telling you to be creative. It happens when it happens, and there isn't any kind of there's no, I can't find the word I'm looking for. There's nothing that will push it forward. There's no search for inspirado. You know what I mean?
Can't catalyze that shit.
Exactly. It just happens when it happens. Now, that's a big factor to me in when a band gets big. You can almost guarantee, like we talked about Slipknot earlier, you can almost guarantee that the band will end up going downhill because they're huge. So the record company is telling them, right, you're going to go on tour for the next 9 months. Then you're going to have Christmas off for a week. Then we've got the studio booked in February, but in January you're playing, you've got 7 dates to play in 21 days. So we need the album written really now so that in February you can go in and record, and you've got a 6-week window to record, and we've got the release date. So before they've even written it, they're telling them the next album is due out in June.
Yeah.
And it needs to be mastered for a month before that. So
while they're on tour and stuff like that, trying to do the last album, they've got to be writing on the bus.
Exactly. And don't get me wrong, loads of people will talk about excellent songs that they've written that they wrote on the road. But that's because the inspiration hit them and they just wrote it. Yeah. It's not because some fucking dickhead in an office was breathing down their neck, how many new tracks have you come out with?
Well, this is it. I mean, the amount of times I've heard, oh yeah, I wrote this song in 10 minutes in a diner on the scrap of paper because I just got inspired. But you can't say, right, I need a fucking song out of you in 10 minutes. Here's a scrap of paper.
Exactly.
And
how many of the greats, no matter how simple musically or lyrically it might be, how many of the greats from Bob Dylan's Rolling Stone to fucking Peripheries, well, Ziggle Rocks, anything, something super complicated like that. How many of them do you think would have been produced if they were literally given a window to produce it? It wouldn't have happened. Bob Dylan didn't write Rolling Stone because someone said to him, I need a new song by tomorrow.
No.
And that's literally 3 chords.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? It was, I say, do you know what? A lot. I've noticed that in the last 5 minutes. I was listening to, I was like flicking through YouTube shit. And there's this collaboration that Jared Dines and loads of other YouTubers, guitarists. And
the big shred thing.
Yeah. And I was like, it's cool, but I wouldn't listen to it out of choice because it sounds kind of, well, it sounds manufactured. It sounds like you put a bunch of people in a room and told them to write something, and that's what they came up with.
Completely.
And it's showing off the skills. It's cool, but they all look like YouTubers. They don't look like people in bands. Like Jared Dines, his face when he's drumming, he looks like he's trying to look like a drummer. But
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But
don't get me wrong, he can play.
Oh, for sure. He's a sick drummer, but
if he's a sick guitarist as well.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be famous if it wasn't for YouTube. His band weren't going to be big. And there is a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just joined 2 weeks ago. I joined a group on Facebook literally just called Guitar Jams. it's a long kind of odd family tree in this group, but basically this bloke started the group because he can't gig at the moment, like all of us, you know. So he started this group and basically invited his friends who are guitarists from bands he's played with all around the country. And I happen to know some of them. So, and they've invited friends. I was one of the people that was invited. It's now up to like 120 members. Every day he nominates one person in the group to post a backing track to the group. And then if you feel like it, you jam along to the backing track, film yourself doing it, and post you jamming to the backing track. I've done it myself. I've put 4 or 5 up in the last 2 weeks. And I'm one of the lesser guitarists on that group. And it's already, to me, starting to feel like, right, I've got to write something to fit that backing track. And it shouldn't be. That's why I've kind of stepped back from it a little bit.
Yeah,
and
just kind of do it if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. Because I just put, and it's nothing to do with them. The group's a brilliant idea and they're a lovely set of blokes, but there's no element of competition. It has got a little bit cliquey, if I'm honest. I feel like there's this inner circle that, and don't get me wrong, they're not nasty. When I say cliquey, I don't mean they disclude anyone. They've been really inclusive to everyone. They've been super encouraging of me because I'm a rhythm player. I'm not a lead guy. Some of these dudes are shredding up and down. One guy has been giving theory lessons on the group so people can expand into different modes and stuff with their playing. And that seemed a good place to do it because they can use it in these jams. That was really nice. You know, there's some really cool guys on there, but they've been super encouraging of me because I've said, like, well, you know, I'm not much of a lead player, so it's not going to be like the stuff everyone else is putting up, but I recorded this tonight and stuff. And they've been super encouraging and really supportive. And it's a nice group. But at the same time, I put myself in this place where at work I was thinking, I've got to listen to today's backing track. And tonight I've got to try and find time to go and do this. Or on a weekend when Rachel's at work, because she's on nights, I would go down in the cellar for hours. Like before, we've been getting together on PlayStation on a weekend for 2 or 3 hours. Every time we've done that for 2 or 3 hours before, I've locked myself in the cellar trying to knock 3 jams out each day. And it was just this weekend just gone. I was like, why the fuck am I doing this to myself? What am I trying to prove?
Being obsessive. It's cool to have it. I mean, just to listen to them and jam to them is cool. But
well, this is the thing.
Why pressure yourself into showing that you've done it?
The first thing I said when they invited me in, I accepted the invitation and whatnot, but I spoke to the guys in there that I knew, and I basically said, you know, I don't think I'm going to post anything, but it's nice to be invited. And I've watched a lot of the other guys playing, and it's really cool. And they were really encouraging. They were like, dude, you know, we've all seen you play, and you know exactly what you're doing. There's no reason you're no lesser of a guitarist than any of the guys on it. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I can't shred. I can't play at speed. If I play lead, it's more melodic. And I said, well, just do that then. There's nothing wrong. It doesn't make it worse because it's slower. If it's melodic and it's slow and that's what works, do that. That's your style. And I was like, all right, well, that makes sense. That's encouraging. So I put one up and, you know, I got the same response everyone else got. Dude, that was awesome. I like what you did in that part. So I started putting more on. Last weekend, I went in the cellar on a Friday night and I did 2. On Saturday, I was planning on going down. The Saturday's backing track was a Slash-esque backing track.
Right.
So I was looking up Slash licks and stuff, thinking, oh, I'll have to drop this. And on Saturday night, I just thought, why the fuck am I bothering? What
do
am
it
I
for
doing?
yourself if you want to do it. If you think, yeah, I might use that in, like, you know, if we do a GNR song and you feel like chucking a lick in.
Exactly. Now, don't get me wrong. What I ended up doing on Saturday was getting a guitar out and looking over this stuff and playing along with it and just not bothering recording any of it.
Yeah, well, that's
and
it.
That was
freedom.
fun. Suddenly it was fun again. So on Sunday, I didn't even fucking bother. And I haven't recorded anything since. This weekend, when Rachel's at work, I'll look over the past week's jams. And if there's any that stand out, I'll have a go. But I boxed myself into this position for no fucking reason other than
because you're crazy.
See, the thing is, right, I've always had this philosophy, and I've tried to instill it in my kids as well. It does not fucking matter what anyone else thinks of you. If you're happy and you're not hurting anyone, do what you love. Do whatever makes you happy as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. And fuck whatever anyone else thinks. I mean, I've had stupid haircuts. I dress like a prick. I listen to music other people don't like. I wear clothes that people think, even the prints on t-shirts. I say stuff that people think's weird. I don't give a shit. I genuinely don't give a fuck what anyone thinks of me. But when it comes to, as long as I'm not hurting anyone, you know what I mean? If making you happy is cutting prostitutes up, you should probably not do that. But if you're not hurting anyone, or do it, but don't get caught.
Okay.
But you know what I'm getting at. Like, just be you. There's nothing wrong with who you are, and enjoy yourself and be happy and do what you love. And fuck everyone else. If someone else doesn't like it, that's their problem, not yours. But when it comes to music, it's my own insecurities that I need the approval of other musicians. I need them to tell me that. I need them to validate my ability as a musician, because I've spent 27 years doing it. And I need them to tell me that was worthwhile. Do you know what I mean?
Validate me.
That's it. That's what this group was about. I found myself basically screaming for their approval by putting these things up. And I just decided in the end, why do I care what they think? Why should I care? I mean, you have to convince yourself that doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird place to be in, when in every other aspect of my life, the only people's whose opinion I care about are those closest to me, like you boys in the band, my wife, my kids. To some extent, I don't even care what my mum and dad think of me. My mother is always telling me I look like a prick. She tells me she does. She tells me, "Oh, your hair looks stupid," because I've always got a mohawk or like an undercut that's a foot long. And she tells me that I look daft with tattoos. She tells me when I grow a beard that it doesn't suit me because it's not particularly thick. And I'm like, do you know what? If you don't like my beard, don't grow a fucking beard. You know what I mean? If you don't like my haircut, don't get this haircut yourself.
Yeah.
Even my own mother, I'm not particularly, I know my mother loves me. I get on fine with her. I don't give a shit if she approves of the way I dress. I want my wife I care what she thinks of me. I care what you think of me. And, you and a small group of people that I would say are my best friends, their opinions are important. But other than that, and to be honest, even that's only to a degree. If you told me I had a fucking idiot's haircut, I wouldn't give a fuck. But if you told me that I'm a sloppy guitar player and I'm not as good enough to hold my position in the band, that would fucking hurt. You know what I mean? Music is the thing that I want approval for. And it's only from other musicians.
I think the thing about it as well is, because I suffer from it as well, you're like, it takes...
I think we all do.
It takes nothing to knock me down, but it takes so much for me to kind of get to a place where I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. If somebody then turns around and says, yeah, you're not that hot shit, dude, that'll instantly make me go, right, well, fuck it, what the fuck am I bothering for?
100% I agree with that. And the daft thing is, right, we can make jokes at each other. Like, how many times do we, in the middle of a song, one of us will make a mistake and we look at each other? This is on stage in front of potentially, what's the biggest crowd we ever played to? About 1,500 people in...
yeah, something like that, man.
We've made mistakes in front of crowds like that and looked at each other and just laughed.
Yeah.
Like, you'll miss a beat or you'll drop a stick or I forget lyrics.
That's it,
or I literally hit the context, wrong chord.
In the context of our band, we're in it together. We're a unit. If somebody fucks something up, you know that 10 minutes later, someone else is going to drop a note somewhere.
Even in the break or after the show, we could literally say to each other, fucking hell, what was that? What the fuck were you doing? And it'd just be a giggle. No one would take offense by it. But if after the show you said to me, dude, you fucking sucked tonight, like you were, and it's not just tonight, like honestly, you're just fucking messy. That's different. You know what I mean? There's a difference between having a laugh about making a mistake like everyone does and genuinely wanting the approval of your peers.
Yeah.
And it's a tough place to get out of once you've realized you've slipped into it. It's weird, man. It's like, tonight I spent about half an hour trying to find a way. So we've been recording to get bigger gigs. We've made a demo. It's only covers, obviously, but to get bigger gigs through an online agent, we need a bunch of recordings. So we've been doing that, and they're nearly finished.
Yeah.
We have them in this Google Drive. So only we've got access to them at the moment because the final mixes haven't been done and whatnot. On the Guitar Jams group that I was talking about, someone started a new thread today. So let's tell everyone about your band. And lots of people are linked to YouTube pages or Spotify accounts and things like that where you can hear their bands. And I thought, we've got some recordings. I'm pretty proud of them. I can post it because Daz is on this group as well. So I tagged him in it and I was like, I play in a band with Daz Clark and we're called The Department and we've been recording recently. Because they were in Google Drive, I couldn't find a way to post them to Facebook. Even after I emailed one of the tracks to myself, I then couldn't share it from my email. So I gave up. But why did I spend half an hour wanting to put that up there just so they could hear it and tell me that it was good?
Yeah.
I already know it's good. I know we've done a good job. And the thing is, I listened to some of the other stuff that people put up. And yeah, some of it was great. Some of it wasn't great sounding, but obviously well played. Some of it was live recordings on YouTube and stuff where the sound quality is fucking shocking. There's no way on earth if I'd have posted our stuff that would have been even in the lower half in terms of quality of playing and whatnot. We'd have been in the upper end of it. Why do I need them to tell me that? I already know
You don't, David. You don't.
It's weird.
It's
odd
okay, Dave.
It's an odd place to be. We have gone on for a while again.
We have, man. This is like 2 hours nearly, man.
Fuck it. They're all going to be 2 hours. Who gives a shit? But we'll keep it brief, I guess, now. But I wanted to ask you, speaking about Facebook, actually leads us on nicely to it. So just recently, as we said before, no one can gig. But there's been a whole bunch of gigs happening online. People at bands are playing from their own homes. And what's really cool is all of them, from what I can tell, are doing it remotely. So every member of the band is in a different location.
I'm not sure how separate the location is, though, because I'm not sure that the Travis Barker one, that people were in different locations. They were just in a different room.
Yeah, because that's still isolation, I guess. They're still distant.
I'm not sure that they were in a different building.
But some of them were definitely very, very far away. Sometimes
I think they record separately and then glue it together afterwards.
That's what I thought. But in some cases, that can't be done because it's going out live.
Yeah.
So Lady Gaga put this big show on recently where all these big stars perform from home. The Stones did it. The Stones were on it. They were all in their own houses. And what's the name of the drummer from? Is it Charlie Watts?
Yeah.
He wasn't even playing a drum kit. He was playing on record boxes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it sounded cool.
Well, he wasn't playing. It was a pre-recorded drum part, wasn't it?
Oh, to be honest, I saw maybe 30 seconds of it. I can't say. And it was on my phone as well, so it's not. He
was just like air drumming to a pre-recorded drum part.
Now you could tell Ronnie Wood was playing live because he, to my ear at least, fucked up like at least twice. He was super out of time. I guess there was a lag. You couldn't hear Keith Richards properly because he was playing on the acoustic, and Ronnie Wood's electric was far louder. But I got the impression, even then with those problems, as far as the technology allows, it's incredible that you can put out a video where you're all live in different spots.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about it? What's your opinion on these remote gigs happening? Because they are now everywhere. Like, there's been some good ones. You mentioned Travis Barker. That was when he was playing with Post Malone. I don't know who the bassist and the other guitarist were, but Post Malone decided for charity, he would do a gig. They did 15 Nirvana covers. And I thought, because I'm not a Post Malone fan at all, I couldn't tell you a single song by him. I have apparently, my brother tells me that he did something on Into the Spider-Verse on that soundtrack. Didn't stand out, not my kind of thing, whatever. But I thought he did a fucking brilliant job putting that together, and it sounded massive.
The guitars, the drums, the bass, it sounded so full. Like when they kicked in with In Bloom, man.
Yeah,
it sounded perfect.
You didn't like his voice, did you?
To me, it just sounds like a mediocre pub singer doing a Nirvana impression.
I don't think he did a bad job. Like the one that
He was
stood
all
out
right,
was
but not-
Francis Farmer. That was the one that stood out because that chorus isn't easy to sing. As much as it might not sound it, to do it properly, that is, that I miss the comfort in being sad with the right grit and stuff while you're playing. That's not the easiest thing to do. And I thought he sounded fucking mint doing that.
But that's it. The bits where it was singing with a bit of grit was okay. It was the bits where it had to feel like I said it on a post on Facebook, I think.
Oh, talking to Ruben.
Yeah, it was like it's not about being able to hit the notes. It's about being able. Kurt Cobain had something that you can't learn. And you can't,
completely. That was just
build.
him.
You can't make exactly, and it doesn't matter. You can make it. It's like you can't play Stevie Ray Vaughan because Stevie Ray Vaughan is a one-time thing.
You've got or what amp you're using. You could have his rig. You're not going to sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Exactly, and you're not going to sound like Kurt Cobain. You're not going to have the feeling that he put into it because he wrote those songs.
Yeah,
that's
completely
what he was wanting to portray.
But that said. Is it still valid to do your own version of that? Because if that's what Post Malone was doing, he did a good job.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Like you say, I thought he sounded like, for the most part, not for the whole thing. Like you said, there was standout moments where he was doing a really good job of just doing. He was just doing a good job of the songs. But then there was a lot of moments when I just thought it sounded like he was doing a pub singer's impression of Kurt
I know what
Cobain.
you mean. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched about half of it with the intention of going back and watching it all later, and I haven't gone back to it yet. So I watched maybe the first half, and I think Francis Farmer was actually the first song, if not the second. It was really early on. What about just fucking gripped me?
What about Puddle of Mud?
Sweet Jesus!
Now, I've seen.
What's he thinking?
After I'd seen that, I saw a previous live video of him doing the same song with Puddle of Mud, and it sounded much better, but not perfect. But oh my goodness,
he was unprepared. Fuck knows why he thought in rehearsal that was fine.
Have you? Of course you have, but you've seen Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah, man.
Town, right? So
there's no town on it. It's
no,
Big Trouble in Little China.
But the song is Big Trouble in Little Chinatown. So
fair enough.
So take that in your fucking asshole. But
right up.
Yeah. So that guy just before he explodes into lead,
who makes himself fucking full of wind.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking was
Three Storms.
What's his name? I want to call him Wes Scantlin, but it's not. What's his name?
I think it is Wes Scantlin. It's not Wes Borland. It's not Wes Bentley.
Wes Scantlin. Yeah, it's shit. Yeah. Brain's better than I thought it was.
I always think Wes Bentley, but that's the actor.
So yeah, when he starts trying to hit the bit of it,
that's what he sounds like.
And then he looks like he's going to blow up.
It's honestly, man, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that in rehearsal it wasn't bad, and just on the day, like he had a bad throat or whatever. Wouldn't you? I tell you now, right? If it was a full gig, like, with all the stuff that goes into a full gig, even for us in a pub, it's not easy to say, can we tune everything down now? That's tough. No. But when it's two acoustics and a bass, if my throat wasn't right, I would straight say to Daz and Sam,
drop it an octave.
Drop an octave, fucking hell. Like, just drop it a half step, drop it a full step, because otherwise I'm going to fuck this up. And you know what? They might not be happy about it. But what would they rather? Like, tune it down and we get through it, or keep it where it is, and it sounds
And
like
everyone's
that.
going to piss themselves.
Did you see that bassist during?
Oh, he was fucking shit eyeing him as well. He was like everyone was giving him the stink eye while he was singing.
No surprise. Do you think he left the stage thinking that went well, or do you think he knew straight away, like, I fucked this up?
You know, this is taking us on for fucking ages, but did you see when Metallica were covering Prince songs?
When it was just
when they were in Baltimore,
Rob Trujillo and Kirk Hammett.
Yeah, and they were like high-fiving
each
other in the middle of stage.
Yeah,
like,
it was terrible.
Me. Are you proud of that, guys?
What they do is, in the middle of those big gigs, they pick a band from that place or an artist from that place, and the two of them just do a quick medley, just musical medley of their songs. And they did When Doves Cry, didn't they?
Yeah, wrong. Completely fucking wrong.
Fucking awful. And then, like you say, then they're high-fiving. But I couldn't help but think when they were high-fiving, maybe not Kirk Hammett, but Rob Trujillo at least was high-fiving like, dude, this was shit.
He's just like,
this will be
we've
fun.
got to keep up the appearance that we're okay with what we just did, but I'm not okay with what we just did at all.
But you see, like these YouTube gigs and stuff, I mean, that Puddle of Mud thing, to be fair, has gone viral, but it was never meant to be worldwide. It was like a Frisco radio station show or something like that. And it's gone viral because of how bad it was. But these live gigs that are going on now, what's your opinion of the whole idea of, because like there's been one or two that have been good. The Post Malone Nirvana thing I thought was probably the best of them. The Lady Gaga
the one
thing,
getting the most coverage at the moment, definitely.
And it deserves it. And it was such a surprise because, like, if it was, say, Puddle of Mud covering Nirvana,
you'd kind of expect a big deal. Exactly.
Yeah, but Post Malone doing a 15-song like all Nirvana live show from his house.
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, of course I'm going to look at that. And you know, the first time I looked at it, I expected it to be bad. I thought I was going to come out laughing. But it was really good. And then the Lady Gaga thing that she organised, she basically called a whole bunch of her famous friends, and she got her agent to contact another agent who knew a load more famous people. And she asked them, would they be interested? And loads of them have done it, and it was all for charity, and it's a good idea. Some of them performances were great. Elton John was really good. Stevie Wonder was really good. Stevie Wonder actually opened with a Bill Withers tune, Lean On Me. Mm-hmm. And Lean On Me, when Stevie Wonder sings it, sounds like, I hate to say it because he's only just passed away, but it sounds like Bill Withers really should have written it for Stevie Wonder. He sings it so well, but he only does like one verse and one chorus and then goes into his own stuff. Yeah. And that was good. Lady Gaga, I haven't watched her part that she did herself, but apparently that was really good. But I know she's got a fucking phenomenal voice, so you can understand if she's just sitting at a piano or whatever, she's going to be great. I always think
she sounds very different on record to how she sounds live. Not in a bad way, just different.
Well, on record, she's overproduced pop.
Yeah.
Whereas live, she's got a real, genuine talent. Like, I've seen
grown into it. Her early performances sounded, to me personally, I didn't enjoy her voice, but she's grown into her voice a bit.
My favorite performance I ever saw of her was at an airport, someone filming it on their phone. She was in a bar in what I assume was like, you know, the first class lounge or whatever. And someone has asked her to sing a song. So she sat at this piano and sang a song. I don't know what song it was, but it was fucking breathtaking. Like, she literally she was caught unawares in a bar waiting for a flight, and she sits at a piano and fucking does not drop a note. And it's up, you know what I mean? It's one of those diva songs, like her voice. It's more like the way I remember it was more like a church song, like a gospel style tune. It was really up there, and she fucking nailed it. Now, don't get me wrong, to just sit at a piano, if you pick up a guitar and someone's asked you to play a song, you're going to play a song that you know, that you've played 100 times. And that's what she's done. She's played something that she's very familiar with. That doesn't make it easy. She was fucking phenomenal. So her section on this gig, I imagine, was very good, as people have said it was. But I can't help but think that a lot of them are going to be shit.
Like what?
Some of them will be really good. Devin Townsend has been doing a series of them. He did one recently for the NHS. And Devin Townsend's music is so huge and sonically full. There's no way he could do that on his own. So what he's done is him with a guitar. He's singing and playing like the rhythm line.
And there's a
all the
backing.
other guitars, drums, bass, all the synth stuff, because he has all that big synth heavy stuff going on. That's all on a backing track. That sounds good. But how live is that? Do you know what I'm getting at?
Well, I do. But I guess it's like it is live because he's playing live and he's singing live.
Yeah, and he's very good. Don't get me wrong. Like I say, his are among the better ones. But I can't help but think we're a few months into it, and it's a good thing these people are doing. But I want it to carry on while we're in a situation where that's the best we can get.
And then you want it to fuck off.
But then I want it to fucking die forever. Because it seems, even though a lot of them are doing it for charity, I don't know, maybe I'm being really cynical and misanthropic. No, I get the impression, like I was saying about that Guitar Jams group, where it's like, it feels like you're doing it for approval. I can't help but think that some of these people are doing it just to say, look how fucking cool I am.
Yeah.
And it's...
And like they're up in the profile by being caring at a time where everybody bums a carer.
And do you know, it's the other aspect of it as well is a genuine musician, someone with real talent like Lady Gaga does it. You know that's going to be good, and you can watch it, and you can, because it doesn't matter where she plays. If it's just her at a piano, she's naturally talented, so it'll work. Stevie Wonder's the same. Elton John, the Rolling Stones. They're so iconic that even when they do something, I didn't realize they were pre-recorded parts, but even if they do what they did,
just the drums, I think.
It did sound that way, to be fair, and the bass must have been, because none of them were playing bass. So Mick Jagger had an acoustic. He was obviously singing and playing this acoustic. Keith Richards was doing the low harmony and playing an acoustic, which, to be honest, you couldn't hear. Ronnie Wood was making mistakes, like in terms of the timing. He was coming in ever so slightly late. I assume that was a latency thing. There'll be a lag on it because he was in a different place. But it was still fun to watch, and this is the most. It doesn't have to be perfect, because it's one of the most iconic bands in the world playing from their own homes. You know, how long is it going to be till fucking 5 Seconds of Summer are doing it, and suddenly that's important?
Are they even a thing?
Yeah, Chloe has got tickets to go soon. She was mortified when it got cancelled, but she just got an email today saying no refunds because every ticket will be rescheduled.
Well, what if you can't make the new fucking schedule? That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no refunds now because everything's being It never said no refunds. It just said, dudes, hold on to them tickets because every show is going to be rescheduled. We're working hard to do that now. As soon as we've got the dates and stuff, you'll be notified like when that show is. And I assume that then, obviously, if you can't make it, refunds will be available. And that's fair enough. I can't knock them for that. But what I'm saying is, you've got genuine talent and musicians and people like Post Malone that have decided to do something different. And that was genuinely surprising because he pulled it off really well. That's all very well and good. But how long until this just empty fucking... I mean, I say 5 Seconds of Summer just because that's the band that came to head, because my 17-year-old daughter thinks they're awesome and they're just a nothing band. But how long till bands like that are doing it and suddenly that's seen as important? Because check us out, we're still playing, we can play from home. No one fucking cares if you can play from home.
No one cares, Dave. You might as well be just playing at home to yourself.
Exactly that. Why film it? If what you're doing is of that little substance and impact, then why bother putting it out on the internet?
I don't know, Dave. It isn't important. Do you know what is important?
What's that?
Sleep.
Yeah, I guess we have gone on a while.
It's right, I'm going to do past midnight and I'm knackered.
Yeah, I've got to be at work at 6. That's bullshit. I've got to get up at 6. I'm not going to work tomorrow till like half 7.
I'm getting up at 5, but do your fucking jibber jabber.
Sign off. Bullshit. Right. Everyone should check out. We were talking about films earlier. Check out Screen Masters. You can find them on Spotify, or you can go on Facebook. They are the Screen Masters on Facebook. If you're into wrestling, you can find the Second Turnbuckle also on Spotify and all your big, wherever you get your podcasts, all the platforms. For us personally, you can get us on Facebook at Phil and Dave EA, or just search Heavy in all caps. You will find our page, and pinned to the top of that all our contact details, such as Twitter, where we are &_excellent. You can get us on YouTube, search Bite Back Media. You can get us on Patreon if you search Bite Back Media. If you would like to contribute, that's fantastic. That would be lovely. Every little helps. You can email us at philanddaveea@gmail.com. As I said, you can get us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can now, apparently, I heard, no one told me, I just heard it on the Screenmasters podcast. We're now available on the Google Podcasts app.
Well, hell.
All of these links you don't need to remember, because if you go to the Facebook page, as I said, that's at Phil and Dave EA, or just search heavy in capitals. We are pinned to the top of the page. All our contact is pinned to the top of the page. Whichever one you find us on, it might not seem like much, but you don't know how much it helps us if you leave, if you hit the bell, subscribe, give it a like, share it on things like Apple Podcasts, especially the reviews. If you can leave us a 5-star review, you've got no idea how much that helps. So,
and you've also got no idea what this podcast is, because who would?
Well, exactly. It's Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventure. Which means nothing to even me, to be honest. So it's not going to mean fucking anything to anyone else. This is just us talking shit for 2 hours. But if you've had a good time, maybe come back next week or in 2 weeks or whenever the next one's out. And yeah, sweet. We'll see you then. Keep it heavy.
Stay inside. Wash your hands, you filthy bastards.
Not just your hands. You should probably wash all the bits you normally wash too.
Tell Slater not to wash his dick.
Baby.